Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and it is time. This is week 1 of UBC Season 5. I'm pretty pumped for this. I hope you guys are too. This is going to be a good redemption season for us after missing out on the playoffs last season. In case you missed my team builder, we are going up against Jonah, aka Isolate, my good buddy, who is the coach of the Great Lake Greninjas. And he has brought Why Not, Mega Scizor, Donphan, Vaporeon, Darmanitan, and Thundurus T. Just a quick review of my sets. If, again, you missed my team building video, we have an Expert Belt Victini, Rocky Helmet Lando with HP Fire, Defensive Mega Blastoise with Spin and Toxic. We have an Assault Vest Goodra that is physical, Power Whip, Outrage, Fire Punch, Dragon Tail. We also have a Life Orb Electrode, Modest with Toxic, and we have a Banded Weavile. So, Scizor is definitely going to come, not at all surprised to see it. It's his best Weavile check, and it's also a pretty good Sylveon check. Either Donphan or Vaporeon probably is packing some sort of berry, because that's his best way of dealing with the Victini. It's kind of tricky, though, just because like if he brings a Yachi Berry Donphan, like I could have Energy Ball and vice versa. For the Vaporeon, I could, again, have that Energy Ball, or I could be packing Bolt Strike to hit that thing. So very hard to make a decision on that, you know, from his end. I'm really expecting one of Darmanitan or Thundurus to be Scarfed, just because he has no way of dealing with Weavile except for Bullet Punch from the Scizor. So he'll want to have something to outspeed that. And same goes for Electrode. Electrode is actually a pretty big threat versus his team. It KOs a lot of his team, honestly. If I make the correct predictions. Like, obviously, if he brings in a Thundurus on a Thunderbolt, then I can't 2-hit KO that thing. So those are kind of my pre-match thoughts. Why Not's kind of a weird bring, seeing as it doesn't really trap a lot of Pokemon on my team. But I think I'm sufficiently prepared for it. I've got 3 Pokemon that can pivot out on it. I've got Blastoise with Toxic and like Rapid Spin, so I can sort of stall it out, and that should be fine. And I bet, like, you know, the fact that I'm a physical Goodra, if I haven't revealed that yet, then he's going to be probably clicking Mirror Coat versus me, and I can just click Double Outrage and probably 2-hit KO it with my spread. So in terms of leads, Blastoise is a little tempting, so I can get my Mega Evolution off, and it leads well versus Scizor, Darmanitan, and Donphan. Even does decently versus Vaporeon because I can try and land a Toxic on it. But there's a non-zero chance that he leads with a Thundurus, and for that reason, I think I want to lead Electrode. Like, Electrode would be bad if he leads with the Donphan, but at least I have pretty decent switch-ins to Donphan, whereas Thundurus is a little bit harder for me to deal with. So that is going to be my mindset going in, and we're going to go ahead and click play, and I do lead with Nitro as he leads Thundy. So here, very free HP Ice. If he stays in and goes for Volt Switch, obviously, like, he's going to tell me if he's Scarf or not. But if he is slower than me and he stays in, I get a nice HP Ice off. Most likely switching is Donphan, and HP Ice hits that as well. Like I was saying, like, Electro is just pretty good versus his team. Like, you know, like HP Ice is so obvious, but he doesn't have another play besides maybe going into like Scizor. So he's gonna just go into that Donphan, and I'm gonna hit it up for like 55% with this HP Ice, which is real nice. I'm just gonna click it again. Maybe he like stays in, hoping he can live. Hoping, you know, he can get up rocks or something. He does bring in his Scizor and takes the HP Ice. Just a quick note, the fact that the Donphan took 55% does suggest that it is, like, not specially invested. So it's most likely just Fizz Def, which, again, sort of makes sense for Victini. Did have leftovers and not any sort of berry, so that's also interesting to note. But the Scizor's in. I have a pretty automatic switch into this thing with my Landorus. He's most likely just going to go for a U-turn, but I'm happy to get that Rocky Helmet chip damage off on him, because just whittling this thing down is going to be the best way to deal with it. If I can get an Victini for free versus it, that'd be great, but that's going to be a little bit hard to do unless I make a double. But getting rid of the Scizor is a high priority for me, because then, my Weavile just goes in. Now, he brings in the Donphan, and I don't want to risk this thing being Ice Shard, so I do go into my Blastoise, and he does just go for Rocks. So this is a pretty free spin for me, but it's also a pretty free switch in for him to go into his Vaporeon. Vaporeon, like, covers the spin because then he can either get like a free Scald off on something or try and go for Toxic or Wish. And if I do go for Scald, then obviously he's going to be immune to that. So that's quite nice. But keeping rocks off my side of the field is going to be nice. especially if I feel like I can go to town with Weavile later on in the match. So I do just immediately go for that spin, as it does bring in the Vaporeon. I guess he could have also gone into like Why Not or something, but he doesn't do that. So here I want to try and land a Toxic on this thing. I do miss it, which is unfortunate. He also goes for a Toxic and misses, so you know, kind of crappy all around, but happy to just act like that's a wasted turn. And the next turn we trade Toxics. So now I'm thinking he's either going to go for Wish, or if he does have Heal Bell, this is a pretty prime opportunity for him to go for it. I'm not that excited about potentially getting something like Goodra Toxic, but Goodra is going to be able to smack this thing really hard. So I'm pretty sure that's what I go into here. I don't think I go into Electrode. But those are like the two plays that I'm considering. I do go into the Goodra as he does reveal the Heal Bell. So the fact that this thing isn't going to really be worn down by Toxic is a problem, which makes me, again, even more glad that I have Power Whip and I also have Electrode. So he's probably just going to go for a Toxic. If he's thinking that I'm a special Goodra, like, he's not going to take a ton of damage from something like Thunderbolt. And again, the max Fizz Def takes like 55, but it turns out that he's like basically full Spadef, and he takes almost 80 from that Power Whip, which is amazing. And it's really useful information to know that this thing is very Spadef, which meant, like, I still don't really understand Spadef, just because, like, I guess it's a very good Blastoise check, it's a good Goodra check, but he's left himself pretty vulnerable to like a mixed Victini with Energy Ball and a Bolt Strike and V-Create. Like, the fact that he didn't bring the Garchomp at all was like a pretty big surprise to me. But like, I thought maybe he could deal with it with Donphan and Vaporeon, but it doesn't seem like either of them were going to be really well equipped to do that anyway. But I digress. He does stay in and go for Toxic, so having my Goodra Toxic is actually a little bad, just because Goodra is my #1 Thun DT answer. So I want to be really careful with this Goodra, just because I don't want to lose to like a Double Dance Thundy, or you know, just plain nasty plot. Especially if he's like Yachi Berry, like, it's gonna be very threatening for me. So I am just gonna go for another Power Whip. I do believe, as he goes into his Donphan, and this Donphan is gonna take a fat, like, 45% from this Power Whip, which is pretty great. I don't really know why he switched into it, because now he's just gonna double out and go into his Darm. I do miss the Power Whip here, which sucks. It doesn't end up coming into play too much in the later game, but we can talk about that when the time arises. And again, now my Goodra has taken a decent chunk of Toxic damage, so I really, like, as only a last resort, am I going to try and bring this thing in. If I have another option, like going into Blastoise on the Vaporeon or going into Electrode, I'd much rather do that. But the Darm is in, and I'm going to pivot into Blastoise because that's my check. And then I don't want to pause right here. So he goes for U-turn and does 25%. And this is my biggest mistake of this entire match, and it's a hard learning moment for me. It's, you know, showing a little bit of my rust. I didn't calc this damage. I just assumed that it was Scarf, because I saw turn 1 that the Thundy switched out versus the Electrode, which suggests that it's probably not Scarf. So I'm like, oh, well, clearly Darmanitan is Scarf. But that suggests the 25% on my, like, fully Fizz Def Blastoise suggests that it's Banded. You know, Jolly or Adamant, I don't really know, but it's definitely Banded. And that would have been really freaking crucial for me to know, because it would have totally changed how I played the rest of this game. And the fact that I missed this is, like, just embarrassing. So if you guys are watching this video and, like, you know, you're trying to get better, or you're just, like, you know, trying to learn, or I don't really know, but always do your calcs. Like, as soon as you take damage on something, like, just put it in the calc and be like, can I determine what sort of set this is? Because the information would have completely changed this game, and I'm really mad at myself for getting lazy. You know, I guess I haven't played in a league for a little while, so those habits I haven't, like, I've sort of lost those habits. I'm feeling pretty rusty. But just know that that's a really important moment here, is the fact that I miss that this is Banded. So he is now going to pivot right into his Vaporeon. And again, you know, Goodra I guess I could go into here, but I don't want it to take unnecessary damage. So Electrode's pretty nice because it is pretty threatening versus this Vaporeon. I don't remember what he does here. I think, you know, he could be going into Donphan. going, trying to get the, dodge the electric move. So I think I click HP Ice here, expecting that. But instead, he makes like we could say it's like a pretty decent middle ground play and goes into Why Not. Even if I went for T-Bolt and it did like, 60% or whatever, he would definitely get back up to full. I do miss the Toxic, which is pretty crappy. And he shows the Mirror Coat. I figured this was, I don't know if I'd call this a 50-50. Like, he probably thinks I'm just sort of like an all-out attacking set. Maybe I have Signal Beam as my last move, like Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, HP Ice, Signal Beam. I'm not 100% sure what Signal Beam hits. I guess it hits this thing. And then, but I had the Toxic, and it would have been nice to land that Toxic. And he expected the move and goes for Mirror Coat. Now this is a 50-50. Like, if I go for a Toxic again, he could go for Encore. So it's a little bit of a game. Like, is he going to predict that? And I don't remember exactly what I do. I think I might even just go for an electric move. No, so he actually switches out as I go for the T-Bolt. So this works out really nicely for me because his Scizor, again, is getting weakened. And he goes for a BP, does 30%. I do have a lot of HP investment, so that I take that relatively well. And the Scizor is gone. So Weavile is in perfect position to just crush here. And at this point, like, I'm kind of just sacking my Electrode. Vaporeon's low. I can deal with it with other stuff, but he actually lets me weaken his Why Not, which is nice. Goes into the Donphan, and I think, yeah, so I'm encored into T-Bolt, so I have to switch out. Go into my Blastoise as he gets up his rocks. Now, I don't want that Vaporeon to come in here and try and wish up, so instead of taking the opportunity to spin, I am, my Electrode is dead to rock, so I can't switch that in on the Vaporeon. I feel like I have to go into my Goodra to threaten it with the Power Whip. So I'm going to make a double, just trying to punish that Vaporeon coming in, and maybe I can get off a big Power Whip on something. So the Goodra comes in, and Donphan, as you are going to see, does switch out as he comes right into the Vaporeon. So, I think that was a pretty nice play. That was a play that I was proud of. And I do go for a Power Whip, and I take out that Vaporeon. So, really big nuisance for my team is gone. Victini and Weavile are going to have a really good time now. But, unfortunately, now I don't have a great response for Thundy. I am, pretty much relying on Weavile to revenge that thing, because pretty much nothing that I have on my team can live a hit. He goes for U-turn. He gets a crit. Like, the crit would have mattered if he was Scarf, but again, I'm dumb, and I didn't realize it was Banded. So, Banded definitely, just flew under my radar, and made that crit pretty insignificant. And now he goes into Thundy. So, I should have just gone into Weavile here. Like, I was pretty confident that this thing wasn't Scarf. And even if he is not, even if he's Yachi Berry, an Adamant Bandit Icicle Crash has like an 80% chance to OHKO. And I know that he doesn't have any bulk on this thing because he needs it to be max speed in order to outspeed Victini. So, I for some reason, like, I think maybe in the battle I sort of got stuck on the idea of Thundurus outspeeding Weavile. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just go into my Victini, and he'll think it's Scarfed, and it'll be no problem. And then I also know, like, if he stays in and goes for Thunderbolt or something, or even a Dark Pulse. I think a Dark Pulse did, like, 74% max. I don't remember. And that's assuming that he's not a Life Orb. I haven't seen any item on this thing whatsoever. So if he's Life Orb, then I die. But I stay in here. No, I go for U-turn here because I'm thinking he's going to switch out. And he does do that. He goes into his Donphan. And this is, a pretty decent opportunity for me to go into Blastoise and try and spin away these rocks. But he's going to make a pretty smart play and just pretty much spam rocks until I die to Toxic. So either I have to go for Scald and try and kill this thing, or I'm just going to die to the Toxic. And it's not like I can go for Toxic versus him and have him eventually be whittled down. Like, that's not going to really do anything either. So I decided just to go for the Scald to try and get the damage. And Thundy comes in, and there's no point in switching out my Blastoise. So, again, this would have been a really nice opportunity just to go into Weavile and start clicking buttons. But I bring in the Landorus, just scout if he's choiced in some way, if he's choice Specs or if he's choice Scarf. My play is going to be to go into Electrode, sack it off, and if he doubles, then I'm, or not doubles, but if he switches out, then he's choiced, confirmed. So I do make that play. Go into Electrode, and I do die, and he's going to stay in, as you can see, and click HP Ice. So he is not Scarf or Specs. Again, if I just go into Weavile and I click Icicle Crash, like Icicle Crash pretty much kills this thing. He's gonna, if he's Yachi, he's gonna stay in, thinking that he can like deal with a Jolly Life Orb Icicle Crash or something like that. But in reality, it pretty much destroys him. Darmanitan takes like 50. The Why Not takes like 50. So that would have been a good play, but I'm making some big mistakes here in this late game. But again, he's probably thinking that he is going to be outsped by my Victini. Victini is looking like it's Scarf at this point. Basically what I'm thinking to myself is I want to try and get up rocks, and then that'll get some really important damage onto both the Thundurus and the Darmanitan. Knockoff actually sweeps if I can get up rocks and he's not a Scarf Darmanitan, or he switches in Darmanitan on like a suspected ice move, but instead takes like 70. No, it takes like 110% from a banded knockoff. So like trying to like go into Victini and try and set up rocks, with Lando, like pivoting into Lando, is not the play, but that's kind of what I'm thinking at this point for whatever reason. Like this match was just not my best in terms of making the right plays. So he is going to switch out, fearing my V-Create. He goes into the Why Not. I just go for the Glaciate, because if he goes into Darmanitan, thinking he can take a V-Create, the Glaciate's going to reduce his speed. If he's Scarf, I'm going to outspeed him. I can then go for a Bolt Strike and take him out, and then that really puts me in a good position with Weavile. But he goes into the Why Not, which is a pretty decent play. I could U-turn here, but U-turn's going to kill the Why Not. If I go into the Weavile, I'm fearing the Scarf Darm, which again isn't Scarf, but I don't know that because I'm not smart and didn't calc. If I go into the Lando, he goes into Thundy, and he can just go for HP Ice or whatever move. So what I'm actually going to try and do here is sack my Victini, then go into Lando and set up rocks and try and set up for something with Weavile. And so go for the Glaciate again, and he's going to go for Mirror Coat, do a little bit of damage to me, and it does look like he's going to survive the next Glaciate, and he's going to be able to take out my Victini. So unfortunately, Victini didn't get any kills this game, mostly because I played poorly with it. And now I go into Lando, and again, I really want to get up my rocks. And I do that, but he makes a smart play, and he goes for the Encore, which is really, there's no other reason for him to click anything else there. Like, he's going to die to any physical or special hit. The only sort of play that he has is to go for the Encore. But now I'm kind of in a tricky spot because I can't switch out. I can't go for a U-turn or do anything like that. Like, if I could have U-turned, then I could have just gone into Weavile and like tried to do something. But eventually, like, he's gonna basically make me kill his Why Not with my Lando. And I try and spam rocks just maybe on the chance that he so he goes for Destiny Bond. I'm hoping maybe he can like waste all of his Destiny Bond PP, and then I can eventually get a kill. Then he'll kill my Lando. I can get Weavile in for free and just go for knockoffs. But he's smart. He's not going to waste all of his Destiny Bond PP. He's going to click counter. He's going to click, other stuff. So this kind of goes on for a moment, and eventually I get fed up with it, and I go for the Earthquake. And then the Thundy comes in, and so here's what I'm thinking at this point. If it's a Scarf Darm, then it can outspeed my Weavile, and that's not good for me. Because he'll let his Thundy go down, and then Weavile gets revenged, and then I just need a little bit of HP on my Lando in order to live a Flare Blitz from a Scarf Darm. If he goes for HP Ice here, and I go into Weavile, I'm thinking that I win. So like I think that for like based on what I think I know, I think that's the only path that I have to victory, and so that's the play that I'm gonna make. Like if he even if he goes for T-Bolt, like predicting me to switch out, like I have a chance to live it, if I'm not mistaken, because Weavile hasn't taken any damage at this point, and he doesn't seem to be Life Orb or Specs. So I think I take like 70% or something like that. So I probably live. So I'm thinking that Weavile is still a pretty decent play. And I do make that play. But I'm going to find out the hard way that he actually has the Flash Cannon. Really nice set to bring really nice prep. And I'm not going to be able to do anything versus this Thundy. Of course, like, the smart play was to just... Or I guess not the smart play. The correct play was to let Lando go down and click double knockoff and win. Because the knockoff from an Adamant Banded Weavile does 74% min to a Thundy and does like 110% to Darm. But again, I was fearing the Scarf Darm because I didn't calc. And so we end up with a 2-0 loss. I think I prepped well. Like, I think I definitely had the team advantage here. I don't agree with a lot of what Jonah brought. Like, no offense to him. Like, no Garchomp to take on Victini was a surprise, especially considering he didn't have a Wakan or a Rindo Berry on his Donphan, or a Wakan. It's not a Wakan or Yachi Berry on Donphan and a Wakan. Anyway, you guys know what I'm saying. And the fact they didn't have a Scarfer to deal with Weavile, I thought those were mistakes. But at the end of the day, I just played badly. I didn't notice that the Darm was scarfed. I didn't play the endgame correctly, like trying to get kills with Weavile. Like, Weavile, like I said, just could come in and smash knockoff and annihilate his team. But, you know, it is what it is, and sometimes you just have to shake off the rust and pick yourself back up. So that's what we're going to do, and in Week 2, we are hopefully going to get back onto the winning grind. We're going to be facing up against our buddy Ospastic. Sorry, man, I'm like stuttering and ruining your name. But if you guys don't know Spastic, he is a longtime GBA analyst and a newcomer to UBC, which is pretty exciting. And he's got a nice team with like Mega Venusaur and Tornadus and Umbreon and stuff. Gonna be a lot of fun to play against. So anyway, I hope you're looking forward to that. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure you check back the channel for other gaming and Pokemon content. Until the next time, I will see you guys later.